So, the first slide here says every web app you use stores data somewhere, and SQL is how developers talk to that data. So, in simple terms, if I want to tell you, so whatever applications you use in your daily life, whatever websites you use in your daily life, so you interact with that particular website or application in some or the other way. And in this process, your data is getting stored in many of the applications and websites. So have you ever wondered that where is this data is getting stored? So this data is getting stored into the databases. And SQL is something that developers use to talk with the data. So SQL is a language through which the developers or the designers talk with the data. Okay. Now the question is, what is SQL? So first of all, the full form of SQL is Structured Query Language. Now, language is what? Now, is it a programming language or what? So it's a language which is a query type of language wherein you write the queries and then the queries are getting executed. So it's a language to talk to the databases, and secondly, it is used to store, read and update the data into the databases. That is, it helps us to store the data, it helps us to read the data, and it also helps us to update, and further we will look upon to delete the data also. Further, we'll look upon to where this SQL is used. It is used in websites, it is used in applications, it is used in admin panels, and in analytics. So I'll explain you each with one example. In websites, like for example, Amazon website. In Amazon website, you buy something, and whenever you come again to see, so you can check for what have you purchased before that thing in the history of your orders. So yeah, here the database comes into the picture. Next is applications. So whatever applications we use in our daily lives, like Instagram. So whatever reels we see on Instagram, all these reels are stored in its databases, which are visible to us. And then comes the admin panel. So various websites have admin panels where they need to put up the data or entry of some or the other person, and it is getting stored into the database. And the famous example for it could be hospital websites, or you can say um, e-commerce websites. So yeah, and then for analytics, whenever we want to perform analytics on any of the data, we want to see whether there is what trends the data follows, whether it is a rise or it's a fall. So for that purpose, we need some data, and the data which we use is always stored in the databases, and then we perform analysis on it. Now we'll look upon to why developers must learn SQL. So developers need to know SQL because it is very important in with the perspective of backend. Like whenever you build an application or the website, the very first thing you do is you implement the backend. So in order to implement the backend, you need to have some some endpoints which are subsequently connected with your databases. So that's why developers need to know SQL, the very first thing. Full stack developers. So if you are a full stack developer, you need to have knowledge about the front end, the back end, and also of the database. Then comes the data. Since you're a developer, whatever you will perform, whatever you will do is all related to the data. So you need to know how to communicate with the data. So there SQL is needed. And lastly, each and every company uses some or the other type of database, and SQL is the language which we use to communicate with the database. So it's a very famous interview question which could be asked for every interview. If you are opting for the developer role, if you're opting for the backend role, each and everywhere data comes into picture, and where data comes, databases also comes. Now, the most important question which you all may be thinking of is what this series will cover. So in this series, I would cover tables, I would cover queries, then real life examples like real dataset examples and interview questions, which is the most important and on the highest priority. So everything of this would be covered into this series. And one more thing, if you're not comfortable in English language, do let me know. I'll explain the concepts in English as well as in Hindi. And if you prefer Marathi, I would even go with it. So, yeah, stay tuned for the entire series. You would get to know various things about SQL. I would try to explain each and every concept in very simple terms, in very simple words, and with practical explanation, like practically I would show you what are the steps, how should you perform, how are the queries executed, and all of this. So yeah, stay tuned on this channel to have a look at the entire SQL series.